Hi, what's the difference between a permanent resident of Canada and a citizen? Permanent resident, as the term implies, means that you are someone who can live permanently in Canada. So whenever an immigrant comes to Canada, they start their journey by becoming a permanent resident. They're given landing papers, which are also called confirmation of permanent residence, which basically means they have just become Canadian permanent residents. Once you spend a certain amount of time in Canada, which is generally 1,095 days in a given 5-year period, you can apply for Canadian citizenship. So basically, you need to spend at least 3 years in Canada out of the last 5 years to apply for Canadian citizenship. But this duration can actually be less than this. If you were present in Canada as a student or visited Canada for several months, that amount of time that you spend in Canada as a temporary resident can actually be used towards your citizenship time, up to a maximum duration of 1 year. So for example, say you spent 2 years in Canada studying. Now you can take half of that time, up to a maximum of 1 year, to be considered for your Canadian citizenship. Let's take a practical example. Say I came to Canada for my master's degree and spent 2 years in Canada. Now I applied for Canadian permanent resident and I'm given the permanent residence visa. After spending 2 more years in Canada as a permanent resident, I can apply for citizenship because I already lived for 2 years in Canada as a student. And half of that time, that is 1 year, will be considered towards my citizenship and added to those 2 years. But even as a permanent resident in Canada, you will enjoy all the benefits and have all the rights and obligations as that of a citizen. There are only 2 main differences between a permanent resident and a citizen. As a permanent resident, you do not have a Canadian passport. You have to become a citizen first to get a Canadian passport. And of course, enjoy the benefits of the Canadian passport, like traveling visa-free to a lot of countries globally. The second difference is that permanent residents cannot vote. You have to wait to become a Canadian citizen before you can cast your vote. You do have free healthcare, your kids can study in schools for free, everything else is the same. Now there's a small caveat to this. If you've been convicted of a crime while you're a permanent resident, which is a serious crime, for example, you were imprisoned for a period of 6 months or more, or you've committed a crime for which you could have been imprisoned for a period of 10 years, even if you weren't imprisoned, you can be deported from Canada because you committed a serious crime. If you become a citizen, you will face the Canadian justice system like any other citizen. So if you're a permanent resident of Canada, although you're enjoying the same benefits as that of a citizen, do not delay in applying for your citizenship. Thank you very much for watching.